through the ranks, finally got to a position where I could get a little bit more creative. So that position was assistant director to in the Sudden Infant Death Syndrome Center, where I was responsible for creating events to support the families in the state of New Jersey that had a baby die of sudden infant death syndrome. But I also had to do my own fundraising to get the money for those events. So we always needed marketing materials. We always needed.
Welcome to the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Oh yeah, it did work. Hello, beautiful people. Today I have another very special guest, and welcome to another episode of the Gentleman's SHF Talk with Alex Ramirez, the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with Alex Ramirez. And as always, I'm very blessed to be able to talk to amazing guests, amazing men, and be able to call this work. Very excited to dive deep into this conversation. But before I introduce my guest, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Google, Apple, Spotify. And to those of you who have been watching on YouTube as well, thank you very much. If you like this episode, if you get some value out of it, please share it with one friend. And this is how we grow. This is how we share our message. This is how we spread our message and impact people. And the reality is that most people never take the time to do this. Actually, 95% of people never take the time to comment, like, or leave a review. But the 5% of you who do are the ones who make all the difference. So to you, I say thank you. And today I have Henry Kaminski. Is that how you say it, man? Cool. Henry Kaminski, and he's the founder of Unique Design, which is a full-service design, branding, and digital marketing agency that is dedicated to helping personality brands, coaches, consultants, influencers, speakers grow their brands, scale their profits, and increase their exposure online. He's the host of a very popular podcast called Brand Doctors Podcast, where he talks about strategies that help entrepreneurs design reputable and profitable personal brands. And as a self-taught graphic designer himself and a brand consultant, he's overcome all the odds to build a wildly successful multi-million-dollar business. Over the past 14 years, he's worked with incredible people like Rosa Brunson, Bon Jovi, Fabio Viviani, and many more. He has, as you can see over there in the back on the right, 2 ClickFunnels awards, the ClickFunnels awards. So pretty excited to get to talk to this man, and I'm very excited to have you, Henry. Welcome, man.
What an introduction, man. I appreciate you so much. And man, we finally got our schedules aligned to make this happen. So I'm happy to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome, man. Thanks. It's going to be a quick one. We have about 20 minutes. So I'm excited. Man, the first thing that I do with my guest is tell them to not introduce themselves, but walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Woo. All right. You counting? So I graduated college right around 9/11. So nobody was really hiring. So I used my connections to get a job at a local hospital, worked that job for 8 years, working my way through the ranks, finally got to a position where I could get a little bit more creative. So that position was assistant director to in the Sudden Infant Death Syndrome Center, where I was responsible for creating events to support the families in the state of New Jersey that had a baby die of sudden infant death syndrome. But I also had to do my own fundraising to get the money for those events. So we always needed marketing materials. We always needed design collateral to help promote the events. And one day I cold turkey emailed a sponsor, and it was Z100, one of the biggest radio stations on the planet. And one of the women that does the morning show to this day, we're talking like probably close to 20 years ago, she said, yeah, I'm going to help you. So I knew I needed to make this event killer. So one of my best friends, still to this day, was a graphic designer, and he helped me design all the marketing material. And from there, I got bit by the design bug, and I made it my life's work to figure out graphic design and branding and marketing. And I convinced my boss at the time to get me a Photoshop program. And I started doing all this stuff in-house. Then I started a little side hustle outside of work. And then 36 months later, the hospital was doing some reconfiguration, and they gave me a proposition. They said, you can leave on your own, or we can make you a secretary to somebody. Which one do you want? And I said, you know what? I had a master's degree at that point. My side hustle was making me more money than the hospital money was. I said, I'm out. It was one of the scariest decisions I ever made, but I did it. And here I am 14 years later.
Cool. That's cool, man. It's crazy how things go, huh? Like you went to college, got your degree, was working on a hospital, and then ended up being a brand doctor.
You would have never thought, if you would have asked me in college that, are you getting into design space? Are you going to become a graphic designer? I would have laughed in your face. Now fast forward, I've taken a lot of the money that I've made with graphic design and have rolled it into other businesses. So the state of New Jersey just opened up recreational cannabis. And so one of my clients who I helped brand a couple years ago, he was opening up a dispensary in Ohio. And he came to me and asked if I could help him brand the business. So I did. Fast forward 3 years later, he says, listen, I'm trying to open up a dispensary in New Jersey and looking for partners. Are you interested? And I said, does a bear poop in the woods? And he was like,
so now
yep.
You're a co-founder.
So now I'm a co-founder of a retail cannabis dispensary. So go figure. If you would have asked me 3 years ago if that was going to be the case, I would have told you you're out of your mind. So it's just, my whole life has been that way. I've always known from a very early age that I wanted to lead, that I wanted to create my own destiny, that I didn't want to work for somebody. But I never knew what that was going to be, quite frankly. And I've learned the hard way in every sort of venture I've gotten myself into. I've learned the hard way, but now I can tell these kinds of stories on podcasts like this.
Yeah, man, that's cool. The other day, I don't know where I heard of this, but it really stuck with me, and it was that one of the most defining characteristics of an entrepreneur is the ability to handle uncertainty. Right. So when you were at the hospital and you were faced with the decision of staying at the hospital or going on and like doing what you wanted to do, mm-hmm. Well, there was a lot of uncertainty there, right? And I can see how like it was scary. So like my question is, man, was there a feeling like what because you sound really passionate about graphic designing and branding and all of that. It almost sounds as if it's like your calling, right? Like what you were meant to be doing. But so like when you were faced with that decision of whether to keep your job or like go all in on the brand thing, was there like a feeling? Was there something that told you that this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, it was an event. It was more like an event. It wasn't a feeling. So the person that helped me get that job at the hospital, I thought it was respectful to go to him and tell him what was going on, right? Even though it was 8 years later, you helped me get in there. Like, I think it's respectful to go to him and tell him what's going on and tell him what I'm thinking about doing, right? So he didn't feel slighted, you know what I mean? Like, listen, bro, I helped you get this job and now you're, so I gave him the whole backstory of what was going on and he understood. And it was actually, I was so scared Now, this person owns a big construction company, and he's a family member, okay? He was a family member. So I thought I could have sort of a plan B, right? In case my design side hustle wasn't working, I could come work for the family business, right? So when I went to him and I told him what was going on at the hospital, I said,
sorry for the interruption. If you're an aspiring, established coach, course creator, author, and speaker, I want to extend an invitation to check out my free training on the podcast Cloak Track Framework by clicking on the link in the description of this podcast. On this training, you're going to learn how combining podcasting with a rare concept that very few people know about called the Cloak Track can help you build a multi-million-dollar network of successful people who can become your clients, put you in front of hundreds of your ideal clients with your message, coaching, courses, and books, help you become a best-selling author, get you booked to speak on stages, or even making an extra $237,600 in the next 6 months. Click on the link of the description of this podcast to learn about the 4 simple steps to make this work. Step number 1 is alignment. Aligning who you're trying to be, what you're trying to do, your goals and purpose with building your podcast so that podcasting is a vehicle that helps you achieve your goals. Step number 2 is leveraging the Cloak Track to find an unlimited supply of your ideal podcast guest. Step number 3 is leveraging the Cloak Track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4 is the content machine, which is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. These are the 4 steps to making the podcast Cloak Track Framework work, and I'm not going to hold anything back on this training. So click on the link in the description of this podcast, go and check it out. And once you've done that, if you feel like this would help, we also have a complimentary, free, absolutely free alignment call to get you started and show you exactly how to implement everything. Get access to the training right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Ed, could I work here while I figure out my other business? And he says, what are you going to do here? Like, all your cousins, like, they all went to school for this type of construction. Like, what would you do here? And I was like, I don't know, like, find me something, right? He says, I'm not going to put you behind a shovel because you're a sharp kid, like you're pretty bright. But why don't I talk to my daughter, which was my cousin, and some of the other execs in the company and see if we can place you somewhere. I'll get back to you. Alex, he never got back to me. 1 week went by, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by. Now it's getting closer to the time where I got to tell my boss at the hospital where I'm going, right? Mm-hmm. So we never talked about it again. I never asked him about it again. But by him never getting back to me, that was the compelling event in my life that said, Henry, you have to spread your wings and do this on your own.
You had no other options. Cool.
There was no other options. Your back's against the wall. Yeah. And I jumped.
Cool, man. So I have a very important question that I think is going to be very valuable for like the audience and anyone listening. Well, a couple of very important questions. Which is, the first one is personal brand marketing?
I think so. The way you ask the way you ask that question, it makes me think like everything you do as a person is marketing.
Cool.
Everything that you do as a person is branding. From the shirt you're wearing to that background that you have on your podcast, to the microphone that you're using, to the pen that you're twiddling, to the haircut that you have, to the earbuds in your ear. That is all branding, my friend. That is all branding. That is all marketing. Even the physical shape that you're in, because I could see you work out, right?
Really? You can notice
that tells me a lot about you before I even meet you, before you even open your mouth, period. So that's marketing, my friend. I could give you the textbook definitions of marketing and branding, but I don't want to. I want to go a different route today. I want you to actually understand that everything that you do, you're marketing and branding yourself. And it's so important because People will buy you before they buy your product or service. If I don't trust Alex Ramirez, I'm not going to trust his products or services. Period. End of story. And nowadays, you look pretty young. So you said you're 21, right? So yeah. I noticed a lot of folks in your generation. So I got about 20 years on you, kid, right? Kids in your generation or folks in your generation are looking for connection. They're looking to connect on a deeper level. Way, way different than us. So my generation is like, give me the best deal. I don't really need to know about your backstory. Just give me something that's going to make me work, make this right, or help my life, right? You guys are like, I don't need the top shelf. I don't. I'll take the middle shelf as long as I connect with them on a deeper level. Right? You feeling me? So that's something that to take in play moving forward as you market and build your brand is people are going to connect with your values. So if you're not showcasing your personal brand, i.e. demonstrating your values, people are going to have a hard time, especially in your age group, they're going to have a hard time choosing you, right? They're going to have a hard time choosing you as the obvious choice because you're not putting yourself out there in a way that's making them feel connected to you. So that's very, very important from a branding and marketing standpoint. People are not going to buy, especially if you're expensive, if they don't trust you, if they can't connect with you on some deeper level.
Cool. And so like right now you got to be focusing on establishing community, and communicating your values.
Yes.
And actually, I heard on one of your videos, I believe, one of your videos, that there are 3 keys, right? That you should be communicating on your like personal branding, which is your personality, your backstory, and why you're doing what you're doing. Because people buy not so much the what you do, but like the why you do what you do, right? Correct. And like this is why I started this podcast from the beginning with like my backstory and like why I'm doing what I'm doing. And now you have a very clear idea that I'm not just like trying to teach people how to become modern gentlemen just because.
Let me give you an example. So you told your story before we went live, right? Mm-hmm. And as you were telling that story, it resonated with me. Why? Because it took my parents 16 years to have me. They were married for 16 years before they could actually start a family. There was complications with my father. There was complications with my mother, right? Ironically, when my wife and I decided to start a family, because when we got married, we weren't necessarily interested in starting a family. We liked our lifestyle very much. Mm-hmm. We finally get to the point where we both said, you know what? Let's give it a shot. See what happens. And what happened? We couldn't start a family due to complications. Now, my wife goes through IVF. It doesn't work. I wasn't really signed up from the beginning to take that route because I felt like it was pushing it. It was forcing something that maybe shouldn't have happened, right? So after it didn't work, we took some time off, 3 months. A lot of times people try over and over and over again right away. My wife and I said, we need a break. So we took 3 months off. I should say she took 3 months off because it's a lot more taxing on a woman's body than it is a man's body. Mm-hmm. She tries again. It works. Alex, why your story resonated with me so much is because when my wife came into the bedroom and showed me the pregnancy test and it was positive, I was happy, but I was scared as hell. And I faked it for 9 months that I was super excited to be a father. And then when my son was born, I was petrified. And I started self-sabotaging myself. How did I do that? I went out and I bought a $187,000 car. I went out and I bought 2 Rolex watches. I was burying myself with stuff, materialistic things, to get my mind off of the responsibility of being a father. Because, not that I didn't want to be a father, my self-esteem and my self-confidence in being a father was not there.
So you were trying to fill that up with stuff.
Correct. And what happened was, it buried me financially to the point where I almost went bankrupt. I didn't, because I got some help. But I remember being petrified of being a father. And that's where my story felt relative to your story, because you shared with me how scared you were. Now, you were 18 years old, right? Mm-hmm. I was 30-something years old, and I was just as scared as you. Trust me. Okay? But had you not tell me that story, you and I would have not had that bond.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have told this story on your podcast.
And now there's a different feel. There's a really real and raw feel to this podcast, to this conversation.
See what I'm saying? So that's how. And then, I just want to give you a shout out for reaching out to me and asking me to come on this show the way that you did. Guys, for those folks that are watching, like, the way Alex reached out was very, very personal. He sent me a video, right? I get probably 60 to 70 requests a week to be on podcasts. And I can't answer them all. I can't even, never mind get on them all. I can't even answer that many. But the reason why I'm here today is because of how personal Alex made the experience and the way he reached out. That's personal brand right there at its best. So Alex, you're doing a great job. The thing I would encourage you to do is continue to do what you're doing. There's a time to reap and there's a time to sow. Right?
Thanks, man.
You're probably doing a lot of reaping right now, and it may feel like, and not only you, but a lot of people that are listening, it may feel like nothing's panning out.
I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, well, you are. But I know a lot of people put in a lot of work, but they don't see the immediate benefit, and they're like, you know what? I'm out. Right? Thank God that you're appreciating it and loving it, because you know your purpose. Right? And I think that has a lot to do with branding. If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing and the purpose behind it, neither does your audience. And that's a big problem. And that's where a lot of my clients fall into ruts, because they lose focus, they lose clarity, they lose purpose. They become, yeah.
That I've gotten help. I've gotten help from other people who have a higher level of awareness than me. And like, this is why I'm enjoying the process. And it's because I've surround myself with people who have a higher level of awareness, and I actually listen.
That's it. And you take action. That's powerful. How many people have you come across in your life that they yes you to death, but they never take action? You know what I mean? So that's where you and I are blessed. We're okay to take constructive criticism, and we'll say, all right, now I see my blind spot. Let's get it corrected. Let's work through it.
3 powerful questions, man, that I want to ask. Number 1, what is a mindset shift that you can share with us when it comes to like personal branding? Just a mindset shift when it comes to personal branding. What should we have in mind?
Okay. What you believe, you prove. What you believe, you prove. So if you believe you can't afford it, you will prove to yourself that you can't afford it. If you believe that you can afford it, you will prove to the universe that you can. See, the universe is going to give you what you want as long as it knows that you're all in on that.
Cool. Yeah, 100%. I've experienced that myself. The second one is around clarity, mindset, map. Yeah, clarity. So, like when it comes to marketing and personal branding, clarity is super important. So what's your take on that? Like, what advice would you give someone that is trying to have clarity when it comes to their marketing and their personal brand.
You want to get paid top dollar for what you do?
Yes.
Specialize over generalize. Specialists get paid more because they are hyper focused. Generalists get paid a nominal fee because they go wide. Specialists go narrow and deep, and that's why they get paid more. So that's why I focus on subject matter experts. I only like to brand the people. Why? Because I've successfully done it myself, and I can easily do it for other people. You want to look like $1 million brand? Come talk to me. We can make that happen.
Cool. Specialized then. Awesome.
Correct. What was the third question?
The third question is around mindset map motion, which is like a habit or some kind of action that that's anyone who's trying to build their personal brand should take.
You gotta focus on your clients. You gotta focus on creating an experience for the people that you truly want to serve. So get really focused on not trying to create a steady flow of leads into your business, and instead focus on creating a memorable and remarkable experience for your customers.
That's very valuable, man. The other day I heard Alex Hormozi say that in theory you shouldn't need marketing because your service should be so good that your customers cannot wait to go and tell everyone.
That's it.
Cool. So, man, where can people find more of you? Where should people go to find out more about Henry Kaminski and personal branding and all that good stuff?
So I want to offer a free masterclass. It's 11 lessons. It's about 2.5 hours worth of content. It's all for free. All you have to do is go to Unique Designz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. And you will get access to, again, that masterclass. It's 11 lessons, and it will really help you position yourself as a subject matter expert and help you start attracting higher quality clients and higher paying clients.
Thanks, man. We'll put that link in the description of wherever this appears. And I just want to say something. You're into podcast. It's probably changed your life if you use it to connect with people. My podcast has changed my life, and it's probably collapsing decades of time. And because of that, there's going to be a special link just for the Henry Kaminski episode to show people how to start, grow, launch, and monetize and automate their own podcast so they can start changing their life as well. So there's going to be the link for the masterclass, and then a link for the Henry Kaminski show to show people how to start the podcast and start working on the personal brand as well. So thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it, and I'll see you later.
Take care, Alex.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms